obviously you're not alone coming in there as a veteran. You're joined by Corey Perry. Like right after you sign, they acquire Perry. Perry ends up signing there, and obviously everyone knows who's coming, and that's Connor Bedard. Now I'm curious. I'm sure they don't have to ask you any of this. I'm sure you're well aware of what the team will expect out of yourself and Corey in terms of veteran leadership. But like, how do you approach the Connor Bedard situation in terms of being a mentor, in terms of being a veteran? Like, how important is that role for you to play this year?
Well, I'm excited because, I look back on when I first came into the league, and I was so fortunate to have some really incredible veteran guys in the room with me in Ottawa. I got to play with a Luke Richardson, a Daniel Alfredson, a Wade Redden, Mike Fisher. I mean, there's a young Jason Spezza and Danny Heatley and Chris Phillips. I mean, honestly, the names that of people and people I respect and leaders that they were as players and people, I was really fortunate. And I got to soak in a lot of what it meant to be a pro. I got to soak in what it meant to be an off-ice pro, the charity work that these guys did, the understanding of how to, integrate into a community. I learned all that at 19 years old. So I hope to be that for Connor. I hope to, not just myself. I'm sure Corey's the same way. He probably felt very, lucky to go into a room that he went to in Anaheim. And there's a lot of guys in that team that we can all help, and that's what you try to do, right? It's not just him either. There's a lot of other young players. I think that obviously everyone's excited about this young player, but there's another kid in Reichel and a few more that are learning how to be pros, and they're great players. And so it's exciting when you get that opportunity and you're tasked with that. When somebody has enough respect for the way you are as a player and a person to have you be the one that leads the way, I think you take that as a really humbling responsibility and try and do your best and use everything that I've learned in order to help him and make him understand, listen, you have to be you. That's what makes you great. But these are little things that are going to help you along the way achieve even more success, hopefully, and become that player that plays for 20 years and has an impact. And, I'm really excited about doing that with some of the guys they brought in, especially Corey, even Taylor Hall and his experience of being a first overall pick. And then you got Seth Jones, who I just absolutely love as a person and player that I get to work with again. And I'm excited to see him take another step too and help him. And I know it was disappointing last year the way things went. So he's looking for a fun and, a year where we get back on track. And I think we're all, looking in that regard to, help Connor and our whole team do that.
What does that leadership look like? Like, do you remember like a moment or a story from like early in your career where, I don't know, one of those guys, whether it was Alfredson, Chris Neal, whoever it was, I don't know, like shaped you into becoming kind of the pro that you eventually became?
Man, it's hard to say. I think just being around them and what I learned was just the preparation and the consistency at which they played. That was what I always learned. Like, if you're going to have your fun, okay, you showed up ready to work the next day, and understanding the highs and lows of a season. Like, they never really got too excited about something, and they never really got too down. And especially in a market like Canadian market, I mean, that was probably the best lesson I could learn. And here you are coming now to an original six team, and for Connor and all these young guys, where the expectation is always to win. There's a brand and a history of winning in these organizations. So, I think that's what I remember most is just watching these guys at their craft and always being in awe and learning how to, okay, every night, every time I step on the ice, every time for practice, it matters. In the gym, their habits in the gym, their habits off the ice and eating. It was amazing to me how I just soaked all that in, and I think it really helped me obviously have the career that I've had and play as long as I have.